Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So today I'm in the kitchen doing some preserving. I am making honeysuckle jelly from the honeysuckle that I harvested in a video the other day that I shared with you guys. Yesterday I was in here doing some baking. Mr. Smith asked me to make him something sweet to eat, and so I took my peanut butter bar recipe. It's kind of like a peanut butter brownie basically. It's just peanut butter instead of chocolate, and I added some chocolate chips to it. So I made him chocolate chip peanut butter bars. And later today, after I'm done with all of this, I'm gonna head out and do some gardening. I've got some more planting to do, but I'm gonna get started making my jelly here. So now what I have right here is basically the tea that I made from the honeysuckle blossoms. So it was 4 cups of honeysuckle blossoms with the green pieces removed, that little tail end that can be a little bit bitter. 4 cups of blossoms, 4 cups of water, and you bring that up to a boil, reduce the heat, and let it simmer for 20 minutes, and then you strain it out, and that is it. And I did not have time to do all of the jelly process that day, so I just stuck this in the refrigerator. And so now we're going to go ahead and do the rest of it. And this recipe is so easy. It's, you know, 4, 4, 4, 2, 2. It's 4 cups of blossoms, 4 cups of water, 4 cups of sugar, 2 tablespoons lemon juice, 2 pouches of regular powdered pectin. That's it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pour my honeysuckle tea into my pot here. I've got my jars over here going in the steam canner. We're just gonna let those start warming up while we're doing the jelly. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this stove on. And then we're gonna add in our pectin and we're gonna add in our lemon juice. So 2 pouches, 2 tablespoons. Got our 2 pouches of pectin, so we're going to go ahead and put this in. Then we're going to add our 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And this little measuring scoop spoon that I have here is an 1/8 cup, which is 2 tablespoons. All right, so now we're just going to stir, and we're going to bring this to a boil, and we're going to let it boil real good for a full minute, and then we'll add in the sugar. Now I forgot to mention, after I made the honeysuckle tea, after I had simmered it for 20 minutes and let it cool down a little bit, I went ahead and I strained it through a sieve. And you want to line your sieve with a little bit of cheesecloth just to make sure you get every little piece of blossom out of the liquid to give you a nice, beautiful, clear jelly. And with all jellies and jams, you want to keep this stirring, you want to keep it moving, so that it doesn't scorch or anything like that. Now the pot that I'm using here is a non-reactive pot, which means it's stainless steel or it's a coated pot or something like that. You don't want to use aluminum, you don't want to use straight cast iron, because what happens is when you are making something acidic, it can alter or taint the flavor of it. And so that is why anytime you're reading a canning recipe and it says non-reactive pot, that's what it's talking about. I use a stainless steel pot like this if I'm doing a small batch, or I have these kind of enameled sort of pots that I got at TJ Maxx. Bought one several years ago, and then just this past January I saw a bunch more almost identical to them. Because people ask me all the time about that big black speckled pot that I have and where I got it, and it was TJ Maxx. It seems like January is a really good time to find a good soup pot there. They always seem to have a lot of them at a really good price. Alright, so now this is coming to a boil, and I almost forgot, I need to add a little bit of butter. I realized that's something that I never wrote in this recipe. I probably need to add that. Just a little bitty bit, maybe about like that. Half a teaspoon, tiny little bit. And what that'll do is keep this from foaming up. Alright, and it's coming to a boil now, so I'm going to set a timer and stir 1 minute. And we want a nice full rolling boil that does not stop boiling when you stir it. So if you're stirring it and it continues to boil, that's what you're going for. Alright, there's my 1 minute. So now, let's bring you down here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in all of the sugar, 4 cups. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to keep on stirring this. We're going to bring it back up to a rolling boil. Let it boil for a full minute, and then I will test it to make sure it is gelling. And then as long as it gels, we'll be good to go, and we'll jar it up. Alright, we will test this jelly. Alright, so to test this, I have a spoon that was in my freezer. I always keep a few spoons in my freezer for just this sort of thing. And I'm going to take a little bit of this liquid and I'm going to drip it onto my very cold spoon. And we'll let it kind of swirl around a little bit. Cool down. Alright. And then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to run it through there. And that is nice and thick. You can see that there. Ooh, hot. Hot bean. Hot. So anytime I'm doing preserves, jellies, jams, I always like to have a couple of these smaller jars just because they're handy. I just like having these little jars because, you know, we really don't consume a lot of sweets. So I never can in, like, say, pint jars, not when it comes to preserves, because we just don't go through it that quickly. You want to fill them to a 1/2 inch headspace, which of course is the distance from the top of the jar to the top of the food. And of course you are supposed to use a bubble wand, but honestly, I've said this before, when I'm canning something and it is just straight up liquid like this, I usually don't do the bubble wand. I just kind of skip that step. I know you're not supposed to, but it just seems pointless when it's a liquid. I don't see bubbles getting trapped, but you know, you can always do it. It's not going to hurt anything to do it, especially since you are supposed to. Alright, I'm wiping the tops of the jars with my cloth dipped in white vinegar to remove any food residue. I'm putting a hot lid on my hot jars. Even though most lid companies tell you you don't have to preheat your lids, I still always do it. Very rarely do I have one not seal. Alright, I'm just going to finish jarring these up and I'll join you back in a minute. So I ended up getting 3 1/2-pint jars, 4 1/4-pint jars, plus 1 more 1/4-pint jar over there that is almost full. We'll just go ahead and stick that one in the fridge. So we're going to go ahead and put the lid on the steam canner here. Yeah. Hold on. Let this come up to temperature. And the processing time for this jelly is 15 minutes, whether you're using a hot water bath canner or a steam canner like I'm using here. All right. The honeysuckle jelly will sit here and cool overnight. And then tomorrow I will remove the rings, test the seals, wash the jars, and put them away. You can get this whole recipe on my website with all the detailed instructions. I will put a link to that in the video description down below.